The desperate call. The holographic projection flickered as Ambassador Talaver of the Silurian Conclave adjusted the transmitter. Her delicate, translucent fingers trembled, not from the frigid temperature of the hidden bunker, but from fear. Around her, the last members of the Silurian diplomatic court huddled together, their luminescent skin dimmed to conserve energy and avoid detection. "Are we certain about this course of action, Ambassador?" asked First Minister Nevalor, his voice barely above a whisper. "The humans, they are classified as a Deathworld species for a reason." Talaver's compound eyes reflected the dim emergency lighting as she turned to face the gathered officials. "We have exhausted all other options, Minister. The Galactic Concord has abandoned us. The Alferi Federation claims their treaties prevent intervention. Meanwhile, the Krell Dominion burns our outer colonies one by one." She gestured to the data screens showing the approaching Krell Armada, over 200 warships moving inexorably towards Siluria Prime. "Our defenses will fail within one standard cycle. We need help, and the humans are our last hope." "But they are barbarians," protested Science Director Kellamora. "Their planet has shaped them into predators. Their history is drenched in warfare. We would be inviting monsters to our door." "Perhaps," Talaver acknowledged, "but they are monsters who might keep worse monsters at bay." She straightened her ceremonial robes. Decision made. "Prepare my shuttle. I leave for Earth immediately." Earth had only joined the galactic community 43 years earlier when a Pelgan survey ship accidentally discovered their system. The revelation that humans weren't alone in the universe had transformed their civilization overnight, but their integration into galactic society had been complicated. Most spacefaring species evolved on gentle worlds with stable climates and few natural predators. Earth, by contrast, was classified as a Class 12 death world, a brutal, punishing environment that produced equally brutal inhabitants. Humans had evolved as pursuit predators with remarkable endurance, aggressive pack behaviors, and terrifying adaptability. Their first contact had nearly ended in disaster when the Pelgan delegation mistook a human smile, a baring of teeth, as a sign of aggression. Only quick thinking by a xenobiologist aboard the survey vessel prevented an incident. Since then, humanity had been cautiously welcomed into galactic affairs, though always held at arm's length. Their military capabilities were respected but feared, their diplomatic overtures often met with suspicion. Most species simply couldn't comprehend a civilization that had spent most of its history at war with itself. Talaver's shuttle arrived at Earth's orbital diplomatic station 17 hours later. She had rehearsed her plea countless times during the journey, knowing that the fate of her entire species hung on her ability to convince these dangerous primates to fight for a people they barely knew. The human delegation that met her consisted of 5 individuals. 2 military officers in crisp uniforms adorned with incomprehensible symbols of rank and achievement, 2 civilian officials in formal attire, and 1 individual who stood slightly apart, a tall woman with dark skin and penetrating eyes who introduced herself simply as Director Walsh. Ambassador Talaver greeted Walsh, not attempting the traditional Silurian gesture of welcome, perhaps aware that her human anatomy couldn't properly execute it. "We received your preliminary communication. You're requesting military assistance against the Krell Dominion." "Not requesting, Director Walsh," Talaver corrected gently. "Begging. My people stand on the precipice of extinction. The Krell have systematically destroyed our outer colonies and now threaten our homeworld. We have no significant military. We are scientists, artists, philosophers." "Your prey," interrupted one of the military officers, a broad-shouldered man with close-cropped gray hair and a face lined with experience. "And the Krell are predators. They're culling the weak." Talaver's translator implant conveyed the human's blunt assessment, and she felt a chill despite the station's carefully regulated temperature. "General Harris, isn't it?" "Yes, by your standards, we are prey. We evolved on a world without large predators. Our civilization developed without experiencing the constant warfare that shaped yours. We pursued art and knowledge while you perfected killing. And now we need those skills you have honed over millennia. The second civilian, a woman with silver-streaked hair, leaned forward. Ambassador, while we sympathize with your situation, intervention would violate at least 3 interstellar treaties we signed since joining the galactic community. The Krell haven't threatened Earth or human interests. Not yet, Talaver replied. But they will. The Krell expand through conquest. They always have. Today, it's the Silurian Conclave. Tomorrow, it might be the Alferi Federation or the Novan Cluster. Eventually, they'll reach human space. Wouldn't you rather fight them with allies at your side than stand alone? The humans exchanged glances, having one of those silent conversations that Talaver had learned was common among pack predator species. Director Walsh broke the silence. What exactly are you asking for, Ambassador? Earth can't commit to a full-scale war against the Krell. Not over a species we've had minimal contact with. Talaver's inner eyelids closed briefly in acknowledgement. I understand, but perhaps a single ship. A demonstration of human military capability might be enough to make the Krell reconsider. They prey on the weak. Show them that the Silurians have powerful friends, and they may seek easier targets. The second military officer, a woman with a commander's insignia, raised an eyebrow. One ship against a Krell battle fleet. That's not a military operation. That's a suicide mission. Not necessarily, Commander Zhao. General Harris mused, stroking his chin thoughtfully. The Thunderchild is nearly ready for her shakedown cruise. Captain Chen is experienced, and the ship incorporates our latest advancements. It could work as a limited demonstration of capability. Director Walsh's expression remained impassive, but Talaver noticed a subtle shift in her posture, the Predator considering whether to pounce. I'll need to consult with the Security Council. Ambassador, please wait in the diplomatic quarters. We'll have an answer for you within 6 hours. 5 hours and 17 minutes later, Talaver was summoned back to the conference room. Only Director Walsh and General Harris remained. Ambassador, Walsh began without preamble. Earth will provide limited assistance to the Silurian Conclave. The UES Thunderchild, under Captain Maya Chen, will depart for Silurian space within 24 hours. It is authorized to engage Krell forces threatening Silurian civilians. Relief flooded through Talaver's body, causing her bioluminescent patches to pulse brightly. Thank you, Director. My people. Walsh raised a hand, stopping her. There are conditions. First, regardless of the outcome, the Silurian Conclave will establish a permanent diplomatic mission on Earth. Second, human scientific vessels will be granted unrestricted access to Silurian space. Third, any technology recovered from Krell vessels during this operation will be shared equally between our civilizations. The terms were steep but fair. Talaver inclined her head in the human gesture of agreement she had practiced. Agreed without reservation. My government has authorized me to accept any reasonable terms. When may I speak with Captain Chen? Now, said a new voice as the door slid open. Captain Maya Chen was not what Talaver had expected. Human military commanders in historical documents were typically older males with imposing physical presence. Captain Chen was a compact woman who appeared young by human standards, with sharp features and alert eyes that seemed to catalog everything about Talaver in seconds. Ambassador, Chen nodded crisply. I've reviewed your tactical data. The situation is grim but not hopeless. The Thunderchild may only be one ship, but she's the most advanced vessel in the Earth fleet, and her crew has certain advantages in combat scenarios. Captain Chen has my complete confidence, General Harris added. She graduated top of her class at the Orbital Military Academy and has extensive experience with xenothreat response. Talaver struggled to process the casual confidence these humans displayed in the face of what she knew was a suicide mission. One ship, even an advanced human warship, against a Krell battle fleet. It seemed impossible, yet the humans discussed it as though it were merely challenging, not a near-certain death sentence. "I'll be accompanying you to observe the operation," she said, trying to match their confidence. Captain Chen's expression remained neutral, but her eyes narrowed slightly. "With respect, Ambassador, the Thunderchild is a warship, not a diplomatic vessel. Combat operations. My people are dying, Captain." Taliver interrupted, her translator implant perfectly conveying the steel in her voice. "If this mission fails, I will not return to a diplomatic posting. I will share the fate of my world." After a moment, Chen nodded. "Understood. We depart at 600 hours tomorrow. Pack light. Ambassador, a battlecruiser runs on efficiency, not comfort." 26 hours later, Taliver stood on the bridge of the UES Thunderchild as it prepared to enter hyperspace. The ship was unlike anything in the Silurian fleet, all hard angles and armored plates, with weapon systems that seemed disproportionately large for the vessel's size. The bridge crew moved with practiced precision, their conversations terse and laden with jargon her translator struggled to interpret. Captain Chen sat in the central command chair, reviewing final system checks on a holographic display. Navigation. Final coordinates confirmed. Confirmed, Captain. Jump plotted to emergence point Gamma 3, high orbit over Siluria Prime. Tactical, weapons status. All systems green. Kinetic batteries charged. Missile tubes loaded. Aegis defense grid online. Engineering, drive status. Fusion core stable at 98%. Hyperspace generator spooled and ready. Chen turned to where Taliver stood beside the tactical station. "Ambassador, last chance to reconsider. Once we jump, we're committed." Taliver thought of her homeworld. Its floating crystal cities, its vast libraries of knowledge collected over 10,000 years of peaceful civilization, its people who had never known war. All of it would be ash under the Krell bombardment unless this single human warship could somehow turn the tide. "My people have always believed in diplomatic solutions, Captain. We never developed the weapons or tactics needed to fight the Krell. Perhaps that was our mistake. But we're learning. Sometimes, the only language aggressors understand is force." Captain Chen's lips curved in what Taliver now recognized as a smile, though it contained no warmth, only the anticipation of a predator about to hunt. "On that, Ambassador, humans and Silurians find complete agreement." She turned back to her crew. "Helm, execute hyperspace jump. Let's go save a planet." The stars outside the viewports stretched into lines as the Thunderchild tore a hole in space-time and vanished toward distant Siluria, a single warship against an armada, carrying with it the last hope of a peaceful species who had begged for aid and received, instead, the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Answering with fire, the Thunderchild emerged from hyperspace into chaos. Siluria Prime's orbital space was crowded with Krell warships, massive, organic-looking vessels that resembled predatory sea creatures from Earth's ancient oceans. Weapons fire crisscrossed the void, most of it directed toward the planet's surface, where the feeble Silurian defense platforms were failing one by one. Taliver's inner eyelids fluttered in distress as the tactical display showed the extent of the invasion. "We're too late. They've already broken through the orbital defenses." Captain Chen studied the holographic battle map, her expression calculating rather than concerned. "XO, active scan. I want detailed readings on those Krell vessels. Tactical, passive mode only. Don't announce our presence yet." Commander Sato, the ship's executive officer, manipulated the sensor controls. "Scans complete, Captain. 53 capital ships, approximately 100 smaller vessels. They're using standard Krell attack formation, apex predator configuration. Life signs on the surface." Chen asked. "Multiple population centers still intact, Captain," reported the sensor officer. The Krell appeared to be methodically targeting military installations and governmental complexes first. Taliver moved closer to the tactical display. "Those aren't military installations. We have none. Those are our knowledge repositories, our universities, our cultural centers. They're destroying your civilization's brain before going for the kill, Chen observed grimly. Standard Krell tactics. Eliminate organized resistance, then harvest the population. She turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Kowalski, load case Omega combat parameters. The bridge crew exchanged glances that Taliver couldn't interpret, but tension visibly increased throughout the command center. Case Omega loaded, Captain. Kowalski confirmed, his voice steady despite whatever significance the order held. Ambassador, Chen said, not taking her eyes off the tactical display. What's beneath the surface of that large ocean in the southern hemisphere? Confused by the apparent non sequitur, Taliver answered, the deep archives. Underwater data storage facilities containing copies of our most important scientific and cultural knowledge. Why? A predatory smile spread across Chen's face. Because we're going to need the geography of your planet to win this fight. She turned to her communications officer. Ensign Park, prepare to broadcast on all frequencies, including Krell military bands, and patch me through to their command vessel. Captain, Taliver interjected. The Krell don't negotiate. They've ignored every diplomatic. I'm not going to negotiate. Ambassador, Chen interrupted calmly. I'm going to introduce myself. She straightened her uniform as the communications officer signaled readiness. This is Captain Maya Chen of the United Earth ship Thunderchild to Krell command vessel. Your forces are attacking a world under human protection. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences of your actions. The view screen flickered, revealing the Krell war patriarch, a massive chitinous being with multiple compound eyes and mandibles that clicked in what Taliver recognized as amusement. Human vessel, the Krell's translator rendered in a buzzing monotone. Your species is unknown to us. One ship cannot prevent the rightful expansion of the Dominion. Depart or be destroyed with these weaklings. Chen's expression didn't change. I expected that response. Very well. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. Combat stations. Helmsman, attack pattern Chimera. Weapons free. The Thunderchild surged forward, accelerating at a rate that forced the inertial dampeners to their limits. On the tactical display, Taliver watched in disbelief as the lone human vessel charged directly toward the heart of the Krell fleet. Captain, they outnumber us 50-1, she protested. Numbers aren't everything, Ambassador, Chen replied. Humanity has been fighting against the odds since we climbed down from the trees. She nodded to her tactical officer. Lieutenant, demonstrate why the Council classifies Earth as a death world. The Thunderchild's weapon systems activated simultaneously, but instead of conventional energy weapons, the ship deployed dozens of small, maneuverable objects that Taliver's translator identified as WOASPs, weaponized autonomous spatial precision systems. Drone swarm deployed, Captain, Kowalski reported. Target acquisition in progress. The wasps scattered, each selecting a Krell vessel before accelerating to attack speed. The Krell responded predictably, concentrating their defensive fire on the approaching human ship, and largely ignoring the seemingly insignificant drones. It was their first mistake. The wasps detonated against the Krell ship's sensor arrays and communication nodes, each explosion relatively small but precisely targeted. In seconds, the carefully coordinated Krell fleet began to suffer from communication breakdowns and tactical blindness. Meanwhile, the Thunderchild executed a series of maneuvers that seemed impossible for a vessel of its size, twisting through the disorganized Krell formation and delivering precision strikes against propulsion systems and weapons arrays. Second wave of WASPs ready, Captain, Kowalski reported. Hold, Chen ordered, studying the tactical display. They're adapting faster than expected. Helm, bring us around to the planet's atmosphere. Tactical, prepare for orbital insertion. Taliver's translator must have glitched. Orbital insertion. You're taking a battle cruiser into planetary atmosphere. Commander Sato answered while Chen coordinated the next attack phase. The Thunderchild is designed for multi-environmental combat. Ambassador, Earth's gravity is 1.4 times that of Siluria Prime. This will actually be easier than our training runs. The human warship dove toward the planet, pursued by a dozen Krell vessels. As they entered the upper atmosphere, the external cameras showed the ship's hull beginning to glow from atmospheric friction. Atmospheric interface in 10 seconds, the helmsman announced. 9, 8. All hands, brace for thermal exchange. Chen ordered calmly, as if this suicidal maneuver were routine. Tactical, arm Poseidon package. The ship shuddered as it plunged through the atmospheric layers, the pursuing Krell vessels following. Though several began to show signs of stress from the rapid descent, their hulls designed for vacuum rather than atmospheric operations. "We've reached optimal depth, Captain," the helmsman reported as they leveled out just 20 kilometers above the vast southern ocean. Krell pursuers maintaining formation. Chen nodded. "Execute Poseidon." The Thunderchild released what appeared to be a simple metal sphere into the ocean below. Taliver watched in confusion. Was this some kind of escape pod? A data package? The answer came 30 seconds later, when the ocean bulged upward, then erupted in a massive column of superheated steam and water that engulfed 3 pursuing Krell ships. When the water column collapsed, the vessels were gone, dragged beneath the waves by the sudden pressure differential. "Electromagnetic pulse deployed successfully," Kowalski reported, detecting widespread communications failures across the Krell fleet. Chen watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "The Poseidon device uses your planet's ocean as a weapon, Ambassador. The pulse disrupts their ship systems, while the hydrostatic shock wave does the physical damage." Taliver struggled to process what she was witnessing. The humans weren't just fighting the Krell, they were systematically dismantling them, using strategies and technologies that seemed centuries beyond what the galactic community believed Earth possessed. "Krell command vessel is altering course," Captain Sato reported. "They're descending to engage us directly." "Perfect," Chen responded. "Helm, bring us around. I want to show the War Patriarch what happens when you threaten a species under human protection." The Thunderchild turned to face the massive Krell flagship as it descended through the atmosphere, its organic-looking hull bristling with weapon sports. On screen, the War Patriarch appeared again, mandibles clicking in what might have been rage. "Your tactics are unexpected, human," the translator rendered, "but futile. The Dominion cannot be defeated by tricks and deception." Chen's reply was cold. "This isn't deception, War Patriarch. This is evolution in action. You prey on peaceful species because you've never faced a true predator. Earth evolved creatures that would hunt your kind for sport." She nodded to Kowalski, who activated the ship's main weapon system, a spinal-mounted mass driver that began to glow with accumulated energy. "Helm, intercept course. Maximum speed on my mark." The Thunderchild surged forward, accelerating directly toward the much larger Krell flagship. At the last possible moment, Chen barked, "Mark." The human ship executed a maneuver that should have torn it apart, a near 90-degree vector change that brought it skimming along the underside of the Krell vessel. Kinetic impactor. Fire. The mass driver discharged, sending a hyper-accelerated projectile upward through the Krell flagship's vulnerable ventral section. The effect was catastrophic. The projectile tore through deck after deck before detonating in what Taliver's tactical display identified as the flagship's central command node. The Krell vessel didn't explode dramatically. Instead, it simply stopped, all systems failing simultaneously as secondary explosions cascaded through its massive hull. Slowly, inexorably, it began to fall toward the ocean below. "Krell flagship neutralized, Captain," Commander Sato reported, unable to keep a note of satisfaction from his voice. Detecting widespread command and control failures throughout the remaining Krell vessels, they're beginning to withdraw. On the main view screen, the remnants of the Krell fleet were indeed pulling back, accelerating toward the safety of open space. Within 20 minutes, the last Krell ship had jumped to hyperspace, leaving only wreckage and silence in their wake. Talaver stood motionless on the bridge, trying to comprehend what she had just witnessed. One human ship had routed a Krell invasion fleet, something that even the combined military forces of 3 major galactic powers had failed to accomplish in the Regelian conflict 30 years earlier. "Captain," she said finally, her voice unsteady. How did you do this?" Chen turned from the tactical display, the predatory intensity in her eyes fading now that the hunt was concluded. "Humanity evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day, Ambassador. We survived ice ages, mega-predators, plagues, and our own worst instincts. We fought wars that nearly destroyed our civilization multiple times. Each time, we adapted and grew stronger." She gestured to the tactical display, showing the retreating Krell. The Dominion evolved as apex predators in their environment. They never had to adapt, to innovate under pressure. They hunt the weak because they've never learned to fight the strong. Commander Sato stepped forward. The Krell's tactics were predictable, textbook predatory behavior. They follow instinct more than strategy. We exploited that. Talaver's compound eyes shifted between the human officers. "You knew you could win before we even arrived." Chen's expression softened slightly. "Not with certainty. Battle always carries risk. But yes, we calculated the probability of success at approximately 78%, given what we knew of Krell combat doctrine. Then why does the galactic community believe humans are technologically behind other species? Why maintain the facade of being newcomers to interstellar politics when you clearly possess capabilities beyond even the Alfari?" A small smile touched Chen's lips. "Because, Ambassador, the most dangerous predator is the one that doesn't announce itself. Earth joined the galactic community on our terms, presenting ourselves as less advanced than we are while we observed and learned." Talaver felt a chill. "You've been preparing for war. We've been preparing for survival," Chen corrected. "Humanity knows what it means to be prey, Ambassador. We spent thousands of years climbing the food chain on Earth. We have no intention of starting at the bottom again in galactic society." The communications officer interrupted. "Captain, we're receiving transmissions from the Silurian government. They're requesting to speak with Ambassador Talaver immediately." Chen nodded to Talaver. "Your people are safe, Ambassador. For now. But the Krell will return eventually. Predators always do when they think the hunting is good." Talaver straightened, decision made. "Then we will be ready. With your help, Captain, the Silurians will learn to defend themselves. We may have evolved as prey, but we can adapt, just as humanity did." "That," Chen said with genuine approval, "is the most Deathworld thing I've heard a Silurian say." She extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. "I believe this is the beginning of a mutually beneficial relationship between our species." As Talaver accepted the handshake, she couldn't help but wonder what the rest of the galactic community would make of this new alliance. The peaceful Silurians had begged for aid, and the Deathworlders had answered with a warship, a single vessel that had changed the course of history in an afternoon. Perhaps more importantly, the galaxy now had to reckon with the true nature of humanity, not merely violent primitives from a harsh world, but calculating predators who had concealed their true capabilities while studying the strengths and weaknesses of every other species. The humans had revealed themselves as the galaxy's most dangerous species, and they had chosen the Silurians as their first true allies. Talaver wasn't sure if that should terrify her or fill her with hope. Perhaps both. Retriclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.